Hi friends. Now we will see about the program level energy and power analysis and optimization. So from the topic program level energy and power analysis. So within the program we are going to see how to reduce the power and energy. Then reducing we have to see how much power is used or how much energy is used by each and every line of the program and how to reduce it effectively. So that is what is the main aim of program level energy and power analysis. The very important thing in optimization in a program will be three things. One is execution time, another is power, other is the memory. So in these three, now we have already seen about the execution time reduction. Now we will see about the energy and power analysis. So power consumption. Now we have to see where the major amount of power is consumed in our program. But our embedded system products are of two types. One is it uses the battery powered, other is which uses the AC or these direct 230 volt supply and it converted it into DC and use it. So we are taking from the 230 volt. So most of the smart devices what we use is battery powered and mostly the real time units like ATM machine or any teller machines wherever we are using in that the power consumption doesn't plays very important role since we are using 230 volt and only we have to see whether the chips should not be heated up. Okay. So we are in the power consumption we mainly concentrate on which devices in the embedded system is the devices which are battery powered. Main battery powered devices or all small devices available in the market are battery powered. So now important design metric for battery powered devices will be first thing the battery is very limited lifetime. So we all know even in our mobiles major problem will be our frequent draining of our battery. Second thing run off the power grid. For example, we will not get a charging point most frequently when you use our mobile. For example, we are in the job means morning 8 to evening 7, 8. We will not get a time to charge our battery in our mobile phone. So we will run off of power grid. So we have to minimum 12 hours battery backup in our mobile. So that is another design matrix. Second thing, when you are using your phone, when your phone started to use more energy or more power, what will happen? You can feel your mobile is heated up. The chip will be very heat. Then you will go for a security program to cool it. Else they will off all the programs which are open. You can feel the heat in your mobile when you are using in your hands. There is a fast chip run hot. Next is whichever mobile has a very less power consumption, we think that is a reliable thing. For example, now too, where we uses most of the very persons who really need a mobile, they uses a keypad mobile for the reliability so that the power consumption comes for more than 2 to 3 days, even for a week. So that is very reliable due to power consumption. Even nowadays, the keypad type mobiles which are non-Android are used for safety purpose for by ladies or for when I want a long run of mobile, we go for a keypad mobiles too. That is due to the reliability. Next is system cost. When the power consumption is less, it will reduce the system cost also. So these are the 5 design metrics in case of battery powered embedded system. Next is how much control do we have over the power consumption? The power consumption mainly depend on the performance or usage of the device. Next thing is on the program. So first thing, the consuming the energy requires to necessary computations. So main thing it depends on the user also plus on the programmer also. Next is we have to find opportunity for saving the power. Not the users, this is by the programmer. The programmer must find the opportunity for saving the power. How we can find the opportunities? For example, replacing the algorithm which consumes less power. That is mainly in VLSI. Second thing, optimizing the memory usage so it reduces the power. Third thing, uh, the CPU is using, for example, you are playing an audio player, then it is using an audio co-battery, co-processor, then it has to switch off all the video, everything, and go to the power saver mode. So that is the turn off part of the subsystem of the CPU, chips in the system, so on, when we do not need them in order to save power. Okay. Next step to optimize the energy consumptions. What are the steps we can take while writing the program? So before taking all the steps, we have to know how much energy is consumed by each and every line of the program. So our main concept in the steps to optimize the energy consumption will be the first thing to find the power consumptions. So to find the power consumption, let's take a just measuring device with our power supply ammeter. We all know ammeter is used to measure the current. So we will execute the code lines in the CPU, and using the power supply, we will give the supply to the CPU and we will measure the current consumed for each and every line. But it is very difficult to check for each and every line. So we are going for a method called, first we will measure the power consumption of the full program. Full loop or full program we will measure. Next, we will execute only the body or other part of the code which has to be executed, or which power consumption has to be known. So first full, next only the part where the full power consumption to be known. After that, if you find the difference between both, you will get the answer. Okay, this is what is about the measuring the power consumption. If you measure the current, you can calculate the power since the voltage is constant. Okay. Next is several factors contributing to the energy consumption. So this is how to measure the current. Next, the factors will be, first thing, the energy consumption of each and every instruction will differ. For same instruction, the power consumed is same. For example, move operation, the power consumption will be the same. But memory transfer instruction, the power consumption will be different. So if it varies from instruction to instruction, each sequence of instruction has some influence over the power. Opcode and operand also matters. For example, it may be a 16-bit number operation or 32-bit number operation. Then at that time, the power consumption differs. Okay. So in the steps of factors affecting, next we'll see the steps to optimize. First step what we saw is to measure the energy. So second thing, choosing the instruction little differently which consumes very less consumption. For example, multiply into 2, it consumes little more power when you go for shift register, left shift. At that time, it will do the same multiplication operation, but the power consumption will be less. Program computation is performed in its function, and it's a clever way to do it. Next is instruction level energy consumption. Actually, this must be given by all the microprocessor manufacturers, but it's not mostly given by the manufacturer. This is to be found by the programmers. Next one, optimize the memory access. How to optimize the memory access is, major amount of energy is spent, or power is spent only in accessing the memory. So instead of accessing the memory, we can go for instruction and data in the memory. For example, you can give data directly in the program, or else you can use a cache for a most efficient way. And memory transfer instruction is so expensive or so uses more energy than other operation. For example, it takes 32 times more energy than an addition. So you can know how much energy is waste. So cache energy consumptions. Why we are seeing about the cache here? We told to optimize the memory, we are going for a cache. So next we have to see how to optimize the cache. Cache energy consumption, cache you all know. If you have a cache hit, then the memory access time is less. But if it's a cache miss, then the memory access time is more. So cache hit, cache miss. So what about the size of the cache? Why if the cache hit is there, then my access time is less, means instead of using main memory, I can go for a full cache memory. That cannot be used since the cache memory size plays a very vital role. If the cache memory is made up of SRAM and DRAM, it itself consumes more power. So if you use smaller size of cache memory, then the program runs slowly and it will save lot of power. But if the cache memory is large, it is equivalent to accessing from the main memory. So we must have a compensation between execution time and power consumption between the cache size, a large or small. Energy consumption, for example, with the video encoder, MPG. So this has been released in a paper that how the energy consumption varies with respect to the execution. So what are the components? Software running on the CPU, main memory, data cache, instruction cache. So see this diagram, here you can see instruction cache size and data cache size. So your energy varies with respect to instruction cache size and decache it. So we have to go with, when you go with respect to 12 in both the sides, instruction cache size and data cache size, your energy is very low. Similarly, we have measured the execution time. So, but the execution time again around 12, if you see the execution time is very low. So, with this type of analysis, we can find how much cache size can be allotted for a good power consumption and for a balance between the power consumption and the execution time. So these are the some recalling points. How to optimize the program is, if you go for high performance, then it must be go with the low power. So we have to see on the memory access pattern. To reduce the instruction, you have to go for data cache conflicts. No, to reduce the instruction or data cache conflicts, we have to resolve it. Analysis the cache behavior. Try to use the register efficiently. Reorder the instruction and select the different instructions. Thank you. Meet you in the next video.